My. Isn't it interesting that when a player plays such a messy game and can't stop themselves from playing a messy game, it all catches up to a person. That person seems to continue to be Tiffany. I don't even know if I can get to everything that I want to get to because per usual, I don't have a lot of time. I do a lot of shit. But once again, Tiffany finds herself in a mess that she made herself. Tiffany winning this HOH might have cost her the game, but it doesn't start here. Tiffany has been leading down this path for almost the entire fucking game. In hindsight, she probably should have just let Kylan win the HOH. And while I'm glad he didn't, because I can't sit through another Kylan HOH, Tiffany nominating Alyssa and Xavier was the right step. But then Alyssa won veto. And now Tiffany either has to put up Claire herself or put up someone from the cookout. And it is quite the rock and the hard place situation Tiffany finds herself in. And while I don't think she's quite in, like, I think it's still somewhat salvageable for her game. I don't think it is quite as nail in her coffin as others. And I did, for the first time since about week 3, actually check out some other people's Big Brother videos because I don't really like other people's Big Brother videos. There's very few people that actually see the game correctly and can call shit out. But I checked them out today just to see who's really actually been calling out Tiffany's not so great game. And I'm glad that there's at least some people doing that and it ain't just me because I ain't a big channel. But I do want to say some people are acting like Tiffany's only been playing a bad game come jury or come like week 5 or 6. No. I have been saying since night 10, and it's documented on this channel. You could go to the playlist. There is a Big Brother 23 playlist right now. You could go to night 10 and see that. That is when I started saying that Tiffany is trying to do too much and she needs to take a breather and she needs to slow down. This was during Frenchie's downfall, and it felt like Tiffany wanted to become the next Frenchie by doing too much. She did it in a slicker way that got her further in this game, but I have been saying since night 10 that Tiffany just makes this game harder for her damn self. She does not have to do all the shit that she does because all it ends up doing is making her own game harder. And after this week, I never want to hear anybody call Tiffany a mastermind again. That needs to stop. I don't know who started that, but it needs to be ended. And on one hand, I can kind of see why people thought Tiffany was a mastermind because in the first week and a half before night 10, it seemed like Tiffany had such a great read on this fucking house, and she did. And she kept having good reads. I don't know if in recent weeks her reads have been good at all. There's been a lot of trash reads from her that just add to her already bad social game. But Tiffany is no mastermind. No mastermind finds herself in this situation where she has to fuck over somebody that has stood by her this entire game or fuck over her big alliance and have the whole alliance probably pissed at her. That is not mastermind material. Tiffany might be a mastermind. I do think Tiffany is one mastermind for sure, because masterminds manipulate a bunch of other people to further their own game. And while Tiffany is good at manipulation, I will give her that. And maybe if I have time, I will touch upon some of those things. But Tiffany does not manipulate people to further her own game. She ends up doing manipulation that somehow fucks her own self over. She is a mastermind because she is very good at making messes for herself that she has to continuously try to clean up, therefore making the game harder for herself, like I've been saying since night fucking 10. My reads are unmatched. I don't care. Some people talk themselves up on their videos acting like they are the one person that are calling some of these things happening. I have been calling things earlier than fucking anybody else I see on YouTube. Now, before Alyssa won veto, I planned on coming here to talk about how Tiffany and Kylan have played such a bad social game that they have ended up needing each other because their social game's been shit and people are targeting them and they're growing their own targets constantly. And they discussed this today. And Tiffany furthered thinking, like I said yesterday, this dumb idea to go to Final Four with Kylan, Xavier, and Hannah. And what has continued, like I've also been saying this whole time, to fuck Tiffany's game is she just never communicates well with Azza. It seemed like maybe they were having a breakthrough over the last couple of weeks, but of course not when Tiffany's reads have become garbage. Because they had a conversation and Azza said she only trusts Derek F and Tiffany right now. But Tiffany thought she was lying. But Azza wasn't lying because Azza told Derek F the exact same thing, that she only trusts Derek F and Tiffany right now. But of course, Tiffany can't do anything that makes her game easier. Oh no, she has to always make her game harder. And she decides to, not believe Azza and keep going with this Final Four plan with Kylan and Xavier. But one of the worst statements of this season that I've seen so far came from Tiffany, who had a shit day on Saturday. Tiffany's game on Saturday was shit. She has this conversation with Kylan and Hannah, different conversations, but it's the same idea about that Final Four, talking about how if they go to the Final Four with Xavier and the Jokers are out, then they have the power because Xavier has nobody. This is after, in this conversation, Kylan tells Tiffany that he doesn't care if she thinks Xavier's like targeting him, because Kylan and Xavier have had plenty of talks since the beginning of this game, so I don't think Kylan truly thinks that Xavier is coming for him, because Xavier really isn't coming for Kylan like directly. But anyway, so she's saying they need to get to Final Four with Xavier, so Xavier has no people. When instead you can just cut Xavier. That's what needs to be fucking done in this game. Xavier is the Kiefer. Kiefer in BB Can 9, everybody in the jury was saying, if Kiefer makes the end, Kiefer's getting their vote. And I would argue that in the end, if it was Kiefer and Tashawn, that Tashawn may have actually played a better game than Kiefer. It's just that Kiefer's game was out there and people can see Kiefer's game. Well, it's the same thing right now with Xavier. The whole jury, I think, so far would vote for Xavier. And yet everybody in the game wants to just take Xavier places. Just not a great day for Tiffany. And then after Alyssa wins veto, fucking Kylan, who is a great manipulator. Like, I think his social game is ass. And I think Days did make a good point on the rankings that him telling the jurors in his goodbye videos about the cookout could get him a lot of votes with the non-cookout members. I'm still not convinced he could get enough votes with the cookout members, but his social game is trash, but he is a manipulative asshole, but he's good at it. So after Alyssa wins the veto, Kylan goes to Tiffany saying they should do this plan where they try to get Xavier to get Alyssa to use the veto on him to take Xavier down instead of herself. But then Kylan goes to Xavier and tells Xavier that that was Tiffany's plan. So here is Tiffany making a final four with Xavier, Kylan, and Hannah, only for Kylan to get the upper hand on her. Tiffany's having terrible HOH right now. It all went to shit in one day. All the progress she was making, where it looked like she was, fixing the first messes she made in this game, well, she's right back to square one because of the messy ass game she's played. Black Hearts Club, shout out for watching my videos, said that Tiffany is sloppy. And I think Tiffany's both. She's both messy and sloppy. And I was gonna compliment Tiffany's manipulation game because the only reason Kylan is so at the bottom of the cookout is a lot of Tiffany's doing. Tiffany is very good at trying to turn people against each other, but while doing this, she always makes a target on herself as well. And that is why her game is both messy and sloppy. She just does too much, and then she talks too much as well. So it's both messy and sloppy. But yeah, I don't know what Tiffany just has to clean messes again because she makes this game harder for herself. I mean, she's done it before. Can she do it again? I don't think she's past the point of no return if she nominates Claire and gets Claire out. I think that is the lesser of the two evils for her, because if she targets a cookout member, then I think she has a whole fucking alliance against her. She doesn't even have Hannah's support. Hannah still wants Claire to be nominated. Hannah's been very pro cookout, and that's because, frankly, Hannah is playing a great game. Hannah has, I'm not going to get too much into this because I don't have time. Maybe on another video this week, if I remember, I will try. But Hannah is set up the best to get to the end right now. Hannah has done a great job of making sure she can get to the end with multiple people. Even Alyssa, she needs to work more with Azza and Derek F, especially if Hannah's plan is to get to the end with Azza, like she has talked about, because she thinks she could beat Azza, then she should probably work at Azza. And that's something else that just irritates me with both Tiffany and Hannah, is that they act like Azza wants no part of working with women, and it's best for Azza's game to be between Derek F and Xavier. And right now it is, because Tiffany's had no fucking relationship with Azza, and Hannah and Azza don't have a relationship. So they give up on Azza. They don't communicate with Azza, and they don't go with her with a final three plan like they talk about. Instead, they just do things without her input or without talking to her, and then expect Azza to fucking want to work with them. Makes zero sense. But still, I think Hannah, out of everybody in the cookout, is set up the best to at least get the final three right now. Everybody else, including Xavier. Xavier's set up good too, but I think Xavier's target is still bigger than Hannah's. I will end it with saying they've all came up with this plan to make Alyssa think that Alyssa's coming up with the plan to make sure Tiffany doesn't nominate a Joker and instead nominate somebody like Highland, even though it's going to be Claire, and then make Alyssa think she's the one coming up with this. She has the Jokers have Alyssa thinking this. Hannah has Alyssa thinking this. Hannah wants to do this plan where if the vote is 3-2, to tell Alyssa that she's going to make Tiffany think that Azza flipped. But I don't even know if it's going to be a 3-2 vote at this point because everybody's on the same page, but we'll see. Anyway, Alyssa wins the veto, prolongs her game, obviously still at the bottom of everything, but rough day in the office for Tiffany. And I've been calling this shit since night fucking 10. and we'll see if she can fix her messes once again.